All right, guys. Today we have two headlines for you on 29 September for your Cybersecurity Daily News. So first up is Kido International was hacked, and the personal data of 8,000 children has been leaked. And then after that, Fortra GoAnywhere Managed File Transfer has been also breached with a critical vulnerability. So it's important to update that as soon as possible. Patch it with their provided patch. All right, so in the significant data breach, the ransomware group known as Radiant has compromised Kido International, a child care provider operating 18 nurseries across Greater London. The hackers claim to have stolen personal data of over 8,000 children, including names, photos, home addresses, and family contact information. So to prove it, they published the detailed profiles of 10 children on their dark web portal and threatened to release additional data on more children. So the criminals assert that they have had access to Kido systems for weeks before executing the attack, and they identified themselves as being from Russia, but concrete evidence about that hasn't been provided as of yet. Now, Kido International, or Kido International, if that's how they pronounce it, hasn't commented enough yet. I just watched a video from a father on Sky News. We'll put that link down in the show notes, that they have not really fessed up to the seriousness of this yet for the parents. So I would highlight the fact that it's not just the names of the children, it's also their profile pictures, their home addresses, their dates of birth, the parents' information, and more. So that is a lot of sensitive personal information that could be put together to cause big problems for these kids for the years to come. Now, what can we learn from this? It's still early days in this attack. It just happened over the past couple days and over the weekend. But I would really highlight that data minimization is an important takeaway here. Was all this information necessary to be stored by the preschool and nurseries? They probably don't need it, right? Can they live without some of this information? They don't need to store it then, right? Also, I would say data segmentation and data fragmentation is key. So if they do need to save some of this information for some reason, it could be separated into different layers, right? If they need some information on a daily basis to sign the kids in every day, for example, that could be one tranche of information that they have, but not all of their information wouldn't be accessible at that level. So if they segmented or fragmented that out, it could have prevented it too, or minimized the damage, I would say. Also, seeing that it's 8,000 children, it also have been segmented such that all the data may not have been in one place. Now, with the hackers saying that they've been in there for weeks, it might have been the case that this was true, but that the criminals had the ability to gather all the data up together, access all of it, and exfiltrate it before they announced that they had any. So all that could have occurred. Overall, this is a terrible hack because it involves the data for children, which really sucks. And it's a crossover between privacy and security. You can see how at a user level, the parents may have chosen to minimize the data they shared with the nursery, right? If they had any choice, do I need to give this data to them? I'd rather maintain more privacy for my child and not provide you with that information if I can avoid doing so. Parents, always try to guard safely the information of your kids if you can. So other lessons could be to implement zero trust more at the organization. We could imagine that a nursery company may not have the most complex internal security compared to a bank, for example, but they should, because they should realize that this information is really sensitive, so they need to guard it more closely. All right. Our next story is a more technical one. It is the Fortra GoAnywhere Managed File Transfer solution. Researchers have confirmed that threat actors have exploited in the wild already a critical vulnerability in Fortra's GoAnywhere MFT solution. The flaw is identified as CVE 2025-10035, is a pre-authentication deserialization bug that allows remote code execution on affected systems. So that's quite serious. So according to security firm Watchtower, the exploitation of this vulnerability has been observed in the wild since at least September 10th. Attackers are leveraging the flaw to gain unauthorized access, create backdoor administrator accounts, and deploy additional malicious payloads. This activity has raised concerns among experts who describe the situation as an attacker's playground. Now, it's alarming due to its high severity. It's a perfect 10 on the CVSS scale, and Fortra disclosed the issue on September 18th, but did not confirm whether it was actively being exploited. Researchers criticized Fortra for a lack of transparency, suggesting that the company's Am I Impacted section may have been a subtle way to share indicators of compromise rather than providing clear information. So more transparency is desired from Fortra in this case. Now, it's not the first time they've had an issue with this. With the MFT solution, they also had this back in 2023. But the takeaway here is patch this, right? There are still 20,000 installations out in the wild that are exposed, and a lot of them, all of them, are in the worst case because if they have access to the internet. So this MFT solution does allow companies to share their files with third parties like their suppliers, their vendors, and it gives them a method to share that data back and forth, right? And it works in the browser and so on. So a lot of these Fortune 500 companies that still have it up and haven't patched it yet have these web-facing portals that are exposed. Fortra's advisory states that a deserialization vulnerability in the license servlet of Fortra's GoAnywhere MFT allows an actor with a validly forged license response signature to deserialize an arbitrary actor-controlled object, possibly leading to command injection. All right. Now, so one takeaway here is that they should have a stronger zero trust network access protocol that would have required more authentication more often and not allowed the duplicated license to hack. Also, for all the organizations that are affected by this, automated patch management with threat intelligence integration would be key, because there are many large companies out there that still have this unpatched and they are not aware because they don't have the good threat intelligence alerting them to this high vulnerability issue, and they need to be alerted and patch this immediately. So for all organizations, having patch management and threat intelligence awareness and alerts is key. Now, due to the potential risk involved, segmentation of critical data and isolation of high-risk systems and data is super important, because if they are affected by this, if their whole data sets that could be shared over the MFT system are exposed, then they are extra exposed beyond where they would necessarily be. That should be blocked. Now, I would also highlight that behavior analytics would be useful here, because it might notice the exfiltration, it would notice the remote code execution occurring, and it would be another signal that could help shut down any exposure. All right, so those are two big stories today, and I hope they are illustrative of the need to be aware, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much.